All right. Hey now, everybody. It's the Rob from 106.1 KISS FM and 103 GBF, pulling double duty from this point forward here with my tag team partner in podcasting, the bad guy, Jerry Valeri. Good morning, Jer.
I don't have a toothpick, or I'd fling it right in your face.
And I would sell it like a gunshot, just like the Revival did.
Because poor Scott Hall couldn't actually get a move done. He couldn't do a move. He had to fling the toothpick. They even cut away from his entrance to the ring because they knew he was going to look feeble getting there.
Boy, you know what? That's where we're going to get started. You know, I was surprised at how old he looked last night.
I had two moments when he first came out of the curtain, because I remember like the DDP Yoga Jake the Snake thing where Scott Hall showed up. Did you watch that?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I did too. And Scott Hall was in a wheelchair and super fat and looked really terrible. Compared to that, he doesn't look as terrible. So when he comes out, I'm like, oh, look at Scott Hall. He looks good. Then he takes like 4 steps and they cut the commercial so he could get to the ring. And I was like, but he doesn't look that good.
Scott Hall is a guy I have such deep affection for. I would probably, I haven't done this in a long time, but I think Scott Hall would make my top 20 wrestlers of all time list. Like I have that much. For someone who's seen as much wrestling as I have, that's saying something.
And it says a whole lot about it. Doesn't always have to be the best wrestler. You don't have to have Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels in-ring chops. He had good in-ring chops, but he was more promo and character and just straight attitude than anything. I always liked Scott Hall too. I liked Scott Hall and Kevin Nash when they were together.
So it's our maiden voyage on 103 GBF. It's our first time on our new home. Happy to be here. I do like that. It's a more like male focused audience, I feel like, here with GBF. So we're among friends. And no shortage of things to talk about today.
I mean, you've got Raw 25. And then there is a huge cruiserweight elephant in the room that we have to talk about at some point.
It's the smallest elephant in the biggest of rooms.
Yes.
Or something like that.
So where do you want to start? You want to start with that, or you want to go Raw 25? Because I feel like we're already kind of Raw 25ing it.
Yeah, let's Raw 25 it. And then, I mean, if we need, like sometimes SmackDown can get hard to fill time. So if we need to push stuff back to tomorrow, we can do that. But let's start with Raw 25 because there was so much to cover. I took notes really as far as what happened on the show last night, because it's easy to forget with so much stuff, especially, and I hate to use this word, but like unimpactful stuff that doesn't have a long-term effect on the storylines. Yeah.
And we talked about it a little bit off the podcast where the writers had an unenviable position of cramming a lot of nostalgia acts into 3 hours. And they had 2 locations. They had to decide who was going to do what. They made good use of some like the poker scene really got a lot of people. Like, where else were you going to put MVP?
That's kind of my thought. It's like, did I like those segments? Not particularly. But what else are you going to do with all of these stars? It was kind of a good idea.
It was a good idea. I'm biased. I think they could have done a little more with Brother Love. I think once you get the pop, they realize that. Than just putting him in that one scene. But that was okay, and he did a great job. And he snuck in and I died laughing.
Well, let me address that real quick too, because I don't know how much more they should have done with Brother Love, to be honest with you. In fact, I think they're kind of giving him a kiss, so to speak, by letting him be there. Did the Brother Love character ever even appear on Raw?
I don't know. I mean, yes, not that Raw, not like the original Raw, but I mean, he showed up a couple times as remember he came out of a box for Biker Taker that time?
I don't, to be honest with you.
Okay, that was on a Raw. He's been there. He was there for the creation of Raw, but as Bruce Pritchard.
Yeah, we all know his contributions behind the scene, but I actually thought just including Brother Love. And they even gave his podcast a shout out on their website. So, yeah, I thought that it was great to see him there. His pop was humongous. It made me so happy.
His pop was so big, and then he's like, and I was laughing so hard. Would I have rather seen the Brother Love show than the Peep show? Sure, but I get what they're doing. I know what they're doing.
I believe that was called the Love Shack. Am I wrong about that?
I think it's the Brother Love show, but I'm not gonna argue with you when it comes to wrestling knowledge. You remember way more than me.
Hold on, I want to double check and make sure I'm not wrong about this, because to be fair with you, no matter which one we're talking about, it was before my time of actually watching live. But WWF Love. Oh, that was Dude Loves, I think, was the Love Shack.
The Love Shack.
So you're probably right. It was Brother Love show. You're probably right.
The Brother Love show. I don't know. Did you feel like? I mean, we texted a little bit last night. I was getting all of the nostalgia feels and all the reminiscent feels from the Manhattan Center. That was awesome.
A few things about that. Go ahead.
I feel like they got robbed.
Yeah. Well, did you hear about what was happening at the end of that show?
Other than Jerry Lawler sleeping, no. I saw them. I saw a picture of him sleeping.
Oh, I didn't see that. I heard that there was a chant for like, we got ripped off and we want refunds from the Manhattan Center.
They got one match and it was bad.
Mm-hmm. Well, they got two. I can think of two matches that they got at least.
Oh, okay, they got two matches. I'm just thinking of the Hardy Bray Wyatt match.
And then they got the Revival versus Gallows and Anderson.
Oh yeah, okay. Okay. So yeah, and they got the Undertaker and they got DX, and WWE probably thought that was enough for them, but it's not really. I mean, the Barclays Center got everything.
Well, let's talk about the viewing audience, because, the Barclays Center did get everything, but they also had, 15 times the number of people there than the Barclays Center?
Yeah, and the ability to do stuff with the lights. And, I mean, they just do it in one place.
A couple of things about the Manhattan Center. First of all, just for full disclosure, I used to call the Manhattan Center home. When I lived in New York for a summer, I lived literally in the same building as the Manhattan Center. It's actually that building is a few floors of a hotel. And I used to live on the 27th floor of that hotel for 4 months. So it's a very special place to me. Also, the way it was made up last night, it gave me all the feels, man. A big shout out to whoever pulled out the Ico Pro banner.
Ico Pro banners, the old stairs, the old ring posts, the
red, white, and blue ropes. It was lit like it was, and not only that, I loved the even though it was a digital screen, they made the digital screen look like that WWF neon light thing. It's just like horizontal lines. You know what I mean?
The rainbow W.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that was great. I think the most I ever felt for the show last night, just as far as feeling and emotion, was they called out X-Pac for the DX reunion, and then X-Pac called out someone else, and I knew it was going to be Scott Hall, but for some reason, I thought there was going to be like DX music playing or NWO music playing when Scott Hall came out, and they played the Razor Ramon theme song, and that made me melt. That made me melt.
Yeah. But he came out in his like red and black wolf pack coat instead of. I thought he was going to come out in a Razor vest.
Well, and I enjoyed it for 4 seconds before they promptly cut to commercial so he could make his way to the ring.
Yeah, they were. I mean, and that was probably out of respect for him. We're not going to make anybody see this. Him getting in the ring's probably not fun to watch.
I also don't know.
Where was Kevin Nash?
Oh, he had to get something. He wasn't able to make it. He was confirmed, but then he had like an injury to, I want to say it was his leg, even though that's the punchline, but he got hurt this weekend or something.
I wish they would have just had Kane show up as fake Diesel.
That would have, how did I not think of that joke? That was very well done.
That would have been awesome. Fake Diesel. He was there. And he was in the Barclays Center.
While we're talking about that segment with DX, I'm torn between, because I liked their segment. I didn't love it like I wanted to, but at least their segment, I would say it was productive in that it kind of got the club over. Like they was at least used to better something.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it came at the expense of the Revival, but I think they'll be fine.
No, I don't. I think that was. I wouldn't agree with that part.
Okay, I thought it did come at the expense of the Revival, but they sprinkled DX Magic Dust all over the club, and that was good for them.
Yeah, I think that got them visible. I think that that actually helped them, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just don't know how they plan on presenting it at some point. Like at the house show, Gallows and Anderson were working as big-time heels, and Finn Balor is still working against Elias as a big-time face. So, like, at some point, you got to make up your mind and make them three.
Yeah. I am a little confused about that. What are they? That's a really good point. Specifically, what is Finn? I feel like they're in the midst of a heel turn for Finn.
It wouldn't hurt him. I think it would be good for him.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the club is a good move for everybody.
Yes.
All right, Jer. So, was that the best part of the show? The end? Okay, what was?
What was the best or my favorite? The best part of the show was the Roman Reigns Miz match. I thought that was a great match, and the Miz winning the Intercontinental Championship. I thought that was great. I know why they gave it to him. They're opening up Roman Reigns. They're freeing him up for the inevitable. But just the psychology.
That match was fantastic.
Going back to the tape, being like, well, and now we see how the turnbuckle pad got taken off, and he did it, and it was so well done. That was absolutely the best part of the show. For me, the most like nostalgia reminiscent part, aside from seeing the Manhattan Center done the way that it was done, I enjoyed. I think I enjoyed the Austin McMahon thing more than I expected to.
That's a perfect way to sum. That's took the words out of my mouth. In that, like,
everybody knew. You knew that was going to happen.
Here's the thing. Here's what difference why I liked it this time as opposed to previous times that they've done this. Because they've done this a million times, whether you want to talk about WrestleManias, whether you want to talk about Raw anniversaries, Raw 1000s, whatever it is. Austin always comes out. You always know what's going to happen. But this time, it felt more like an SNL sketch that didn't take itself seriously as opposed to a wrestling segment.
I love it. Did you see when Shane's on, he was like, but Shane's healthy. Shane's good.
That's what I mean. That was actually funny material as opposed to just working up to the stunner. You know what I mean?
Go back and watch it. There was a rib. Shane got ribbed by Vince. So like Vince is just walking over after Shane's been stunned, and it's not for the camera. It's not for anybody. You just see Vince dumping his beer all over Shane.
Well, Steve did that to Vince during the hug.
Yeah, but it wasn't an accidental, and it wasn't like this. He you watch him go like this with the can and like put it down by his leg and just dump it all over Shane as like a ha-ha, and then take a drink of it and throw the can. But I thought that was funny. He was like, it's my boy. I'm going to dump a beer on him.
Another thing that I love from that segment, I don't know if people caught this. So in some of his like DVDs or on his podcast, he mentions he takes a pride level in he's never dropped a beer that's thrown to him throughout
a few.
He dropped several. He may have been batting less than 500 last night.
Yeah, a couple were overthrown. If we're going to be fair, they overshot him a couple times.
Yeah, but I'm not sure that the guy that used to throw the beer is still the guy throwing the beer. So that
he caught enough, and then he dropped one. I saw like even after he had it, it slipped out of his hand.
I saw many get dropped.
It was funny. One of my favorite lines was when they were chanting "one more stunner, one more time," and Vince was like, "I don't think Shane can take another one."
See, that's what I liked about it, was that it was more like, do you get my comparison to an SNL sketch as opposed to a wrestling segment? So that's what I thought there. I thought that was so much to do on the show last night, having the women carry over past 2 commercial breaks. So we're talking like 3 or 4 segments long was a bit much.
Not even working in. Like, that's where I thought Trish Stratus was coming out or something. But instead they just did the march for those girls.
And you know what was a shame to me? It's like, the women they chose to highlight were really hit and miss with me. Like there are so many important women that we could have celebrated, and Kelly and Michelle McCool are out there.
Well, you know why Michelle McCool's out there.
I do. I know she's married to Undertaker, and same with Maurice.
I'm surprised that Sable wasn't there.
Or how
Brock.
Can we get Stacy Keibler? I'm glad Tori Wilson was there.
No, you're not getting Stacy Keibler. I think she kind of distances herself. She's ever since she banged Clooney.
Well, we got Alundra Blaze's number.
You know.
Where's Ivory? Where's the other Tori? I was glad to see Terry. That fit.
Do you think they're saving some of them for
the
Royal Rumble surprise?
Kelly was on ECW for like a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
come on.
She's not trailblazing.
By the way, she may
Where was Lita?
That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? That's all.
Yeah, but I kept waiting for that in the women's segment. So I told you what I thought was the best part and my favorite part. Do you agree with both of those, or do you have difference?
If you want a moment, my favorite moment was hearing Razor's music play for 4 seconds.
Okay. You know what I really enjoyed? JR and Lawler.
Yeah, this wasn't enough of them. It was hard for me. Go ahead.
No, it wasn't, but it reminded me of what the announcers used to sound like.
Yeah, it used to be so much better.
And I get annoyed with Lawler. I really do. The puppies and it's easy to get annoyed with him, but he had some lines last night that made me remember why I loved him originally.
Yeah,
the one when he was like, woken Matt Hardy. He's not woken now. Millions of people were watching Raw. He ain't one of them because he was unconscious on the mat.
That's good.
He said something about the revival needing to be revived. Like just stupid little things like that. And
Dude,
Jim Ross.
First of all, that is not. We don't have a mutual feeling about the King. You've always been, and you've maintained. You've always been sour on Jerry Lawler.
I am.
It makes one of us. I loved him.
I love some of them. I do. But it got overshadowed by all the puppies and all that stuff. And JR, he just makes the moves seem more impactful and more powerful. And, instead of saying like Corey Graves would, it's the coup de grace, or Michael Cole, it's the coup de grace. Look at the coup de grace. He's like, he just drove his boots into the sternum. He makes it sound like a freaking fight, Rob.
Yeah, Jim Ross.
Fun.
It doesn't hurt that he's the soundtrack to our childhood when it comes to wrestling, but his way of telling the story, the subtext of what's happening is unparalleled.
Yeah, the real soundtrack to my early childhood for wrestling was Vince and Jesse Ventura, but Jim Ross is my favorite.
You know.
Oh, I know.
You know.
Brother Love working in the you-knows made me laugh too. I was very happy with that.
By the way, I don't know who you're going to be picking for our predictions episode on Thursday, but the one thing they made extremely clear last night was he was not winning the Royal Rumble. Asuka throws literally everything breathing out of the ring last night to big celebration. That just, the one thing that it shows to me is, guess what? I'm not winning the Rumble on Sunday.
I always say that about the Money in the Bank, but are you sure? Because I feel like they could have her win it again.
Asuka?
Yeah.
Hey.
I'm just saying. I'm saying they're pushing her more than anything. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they did that with her, and she won it, even though she cleared everybody out.
Save it for Thursday, bro. Save it for Thursday.
All right. Kiss my butt.
What do you mean?
I just kiss my butt.
Well, if you want to say your predictions now, go right ahead.
I don't.
I got an idea. You can save it for Thursday, or you can do it right now.
I got an idea.
Let's talk about. We mentioned all those. Boy, this to me. What'd you think of the Undertaker segment? Because to me, all I got was a SmackDown 900 vibe. In that I'm saying words, but I'm not saying anything.
I got less than a SmackDown 900 for me, because at SmackDown 900, I did get a message. I got a message that son of a bee was coming back, and I was misled. This time, aside from man, him coming out in the Manhattan Center was cool, but it was also not super cool. And here's why. You don't see him very much anymore, ever. So it was cool to see him come out in that building, see him come out to that ring. But when you get such limited Undertaker entrances, you want the smoke, the fire, and the purple lights, and you can't get that in the Manhattan Center. So that might have been a good spot for the Barclay, but whatever. It was good to see him. It was good to see him, and he when he's wearing that girdle, he's wearing his Spanx. He doesn't look fat like Kane does, so that's good. But he doesn't say anything. When he was done, I literally backed it up. I was running late, and I still backed it up because I thought I must have zoned out.
We did too. So I asked Brittany, I was like, did he say anything? And she's like, at the end, we might have missed something. And I was like, I'll rewind it. But the only vibe I got was that he might be coming after someone he's already buried before.
I just got confused.
Yeah.
Is he saying they can now finally rest in peace because he is retired? Or was it a warning? Is he like what?
Jim Ross made it seem like a warning, but the only vibe I got was he's coming after someone he's already buried before.
What in the blazes?
I don't know. And this was supposed to be, the internet was abuzz about how this was supposed to be the kickoff for Cena Taker at WrestleMania, and we didn't get that even in the least.
No, we got Elias. We got Elias and Cena.
Yeah.
And I thought Elias did very well in his spotlight.
Yes,
in fact, he handled it back and forth with Cena better than Reigns did leading up to SummerSlam, and I'm confident in saying that.
Wait, say that again?
I feel like Elias handled his back and forth with Cena and dealing with Cena in the ring. Then he did a better job of it than Roman Reigns did.
Leading up to SummerSlam or leading up to No Mercy?
Whichever one they fought. I can't remember.
Okay. Well, the No Mercy stuff I loved, but you're right. Roman didn't do it. It was because Roman got flustered that I think I loved it so much.
You loved it because Roman got shaken hard by Cena.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, bitch. Like those were those promos. That was No Mercy. You're right. That's not SummerSlam. But I thought Elias just handled himself better. He's got a good look because he looks like Randy Savage. Like I'm rooting for Elias. I'm not 100% in on him or anything, but I'm hoping he gets.
Well, where is this going to play out?
Rumble.
You think they're going to have Elias and Cena at the Rumble?
I think Elias is going to get thrown out of the Rumble by Cena.
Okay, so then does it play out at Mania? Does it play out at one of the pay-per-views in between?
Maybe the one in between. I think Cena and Elias at WrestleMania doesn't sound like something they'd do.
Correct. That does not sound like something they would do. I'm taking
they have a very limited amount of Cena WrestleManias left.
Yeah.
Maybe less than 5. Maybe. So they're not going to use it for Elias. They're just not.
That's the way I feel too. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be. I mean, I guess maybe because don't both brands have a show between Rumble and Mania?
Yes, one apiece.
So I would imagine at one of those, probably the Raw one, that could possibly play out, I guess.
Who is most conspicuous by their absence?
Enzo.
Oh yeah. Well, besides that, but for nostalgia,
there was Nash.
The Rock not being there, I thought was surprising.
Well, he wasn't announced, so that makes sense. But
I know, but I still thought he was going to come out.
Yeah. I knew that Brett wasn't going to be there because he was supposed to be, but he had to meet with a surgeon about his hand. Did you hear about his hand?
No.
Poor Brett. He got this surgery done on his right hand. And according to him, he alleges that the surgery was malpractice, that it was botched. He can't move his right hand anymore, and he's suing for like north of $1 million. So he needed to get this special surgeon face-to-face with this new guy who's going to like testify for him or something like that.
He has had such a tough go.
Man, and I love the guy so much. And man, just really his life post WWE since the screw job makes me so sad.
The whole family, really. It's just rife with tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's sad. Damian Demento wasn't there. I mean, I was just like,
the whole time I was just thinking, where is Demento?
I mean, he was the first main event of Raw ever.
He got screen time though. He was in a package I saw.
He was in a package. I saw that. Boogeyman got time.
Boogeyman got a good bit of time. He sure did.
Worms.
What else happened? Bischoff got some screen time, although I would love to have seen more with him. He's a guy I'd love to see back, but we mentioned how good Miz and Reigns was. Peep Show.
Title change on that show was nice.
Yeah. What about Jericho? What'd that make you feel?
I like that. I enjoyed that. Now Jericho Elias would have made more sense to me than Cena Elias, but okay.
Yeah, well, I don't know if Jericho is sticking around or not. I hear he's not.
It was nice to see Jericho because it put all those rumors to rest that Vince and the WWE was ticked at him for the Omega stuff and going to New Japan. Clearly, he's just living the wrestler's dream where he does what he wants.
And then, I meant to put this in on Thursday's episode, our post about Raw, remember? Let me give to you because I told you what my favorite is, but let me give you my 3 favorite moments in the history of Raw, kind of in no particular order, because it depends on what you're kind of looking for.
Okay, good. And then I want to tell you one that I forgot last week that I wanted to kick myself for. Go ahead.
Me too. So in no particular order, these are my 3 favorite moments from all of Raw. Are you ready?
Yes.
The one I did not forget to mention was Triple H interrupting Stephanie and Tess' wedding.
That's one of mine.
From a storyline point of view, that was just so much fun for me. I was so into wrestling at the time. That's the one I went to. And we somehow neglected 2 of the biggest ones. I don't know how.
I don't know either. And I kicked myself that day. You're going to say it. Go ahead and say it.
Number 2 for me again, but no particular order. The debut of Y2J Chris Jericho.
How in the blazes did we forget to mention that, Rob?
Yeah, I don't know. We had a flow going that was we weren't doing listing. We were doing conversations. And sometimes you're going to leave stuff out when you do that.
I remember loving that countdown. And the countdown to the millennium and then all of a sudden right in the middle of a Rock promo
and he debuts and you just see his back like this and you don't know for sure until you see the word Jericho appear on that Titantron with a song that you'd never heard before but you immediately loved. Like, man, that was awesome. That was just awesome.
It was absolutely perfect. Now some people will say that the Rock then gobbled him up. But I don't think he did. I thought that they both did very well. And I went back and watched it this week, his entrance. And I thought it's just awesome. He's not even, you never even see his face before he goes, "Welcome to Raw is Jericho." And the whole place goes crazy.
And he's got the ponytail on top of his head. And that was magic to say the least. And then the other one I want to mention is, again, it depends on what you look for in a magic moment. But for me, and you can make a good argument for this being number 1 also, I'll call it McMahon buys WCW / simulcast. There was a simulcast on one night, the very last Nitro. That to me, while I didn't realize the negative repercussions it would have on the business, when it happened, it was so monumental, a moment I never, ever thought I would see. And
nobody thought they'd see it.
And as a guy who bled WWF at the time, it felt like a victory for me, even though, again, I didn't realize it wasn't, but you know what I mean? You know, but it
was. And at that point, and I think that's why it was able to happen, everybody was Team WWF at that point.
It was, if you were WCW, man, you were a faithful in 2001. Holy cow.
That was my Uncle Sime. My Uncle Sime, God rest his soul, was like, he just wouldn't give up WCW. But I also think to this day, he thought it was legitimately real. So, so God bless him. But
Uncle
he
went down with the ship, it sounds like, with WCW.
He absolutely did. I hedged my bets when they were both at their peak. I told you I'd watch Raw and then I'd watch the Nitro replay. I'd get them both and just go to bed super late. There was a time when I was more WCW than WWF, but I think that everybody was for the most part, not you, but a lot of people. And then the WWF gave you no choice. Like, how are you going to choose Conan and like the 37th member of the NWO over Rock and Austin, and, and beer trucks and Mankind?
Dude, it's not even the 37th member of the NWO. It was it was the Lash LaRue's, and it was I can't even think of some of the Viagra the Viagra on the poles. I mean, if you were there throughout the Millionaires Club, like, God bless you. God bless you. You want to move on to the big story? We got a few minutes. We can probably at least address what I think is just getting started of a big time story in WWE.
I'm going to let you guide this because I'm so terrified of saying the wrong thing. You know me, and you and I have the same sense of humor. You are better at controlling yours.
Okay.
So like, and I don't want anyone to think that I don't take this kind of stuff super seriously. So I'm just going to let you lead it, and I'm probably going to agree with most of what you say, but I'm going to fight the urge to crack jokes.
Yeah, that'd probably be best.
Oh God.
That wasn't even a joke.
That's just funny how you said it. You're like, yes, it would be great if you didn't joke about this next thing.
Well, here's the thing: is this next story is really serious.
It's super serious,
and it involves a very big WWE star who I believe we will probably not see on WWE television ever again.
I was beginning to think he might be bulletproof. Nobody's bulletproof from this, if it's true.
Enzo Amore was accused in great detail by a woman of, the word they're using is rape. And from the details that she's provided, the details that the police are looking into, I believe it was Las Vegas police. I might have the department wrong. It's been investigated since October, and they're ready to come forward. It looks like with, I'll just use the term allegations. I don't know if charges have been brought up or not yet, but it's extremely serious. And the details are horrifying. We don't need to go into the juicy details.
No, you can find those yourself if you want them. It's like, it's like the page tape where we didn't have to tell you what you were going to see. You went and saw it.
Correct. Yeah. And I'm sure I doubt we're breaking the news to many people that this happened. Or allegedly.
I'm curious of your opinion, because it is allegedly. And, you being a Penn Stater, you probably can appreciate that. I was here in State College when the Jerry Sandusky scandal, when it happened. And I remember the tension. And I remember, like, right before Joe Paterno gets fired on that Thursday, this whole town, you could literally feel like something was going to blow. The air felt weird. Everything felt so tense, and people were getting ready to start jumping to crazy conclusions. And even to this day, we don't have all the facts. So it's tough. You don't want to say anything about the victim because you never want to be accused of turning it around on them, but you have to look at everything. You have to look at everything slowly, I think, when it comes to stuff like this.
Yeah, but here's the thing. We already know he's been suspended. And let's use Rich Swann as a comparison right now. Because Rich Swann was he was never brought on charges, to my knowledge. And he and his wife, my understanding, are back to normal now. And we still have not seen him back on television. And again, no charges. I don't know, even if everything gets dropped against Enzo, I don't know that we're going to see him again. I just don't know.
He's bigger than Rich Swann. I mean, Steve Austin abused women, and it was pretty clear, or the accusations were there anyways. But it was Steve Austin, so eventually...
And it was also 15, 20 years ago.
Sure, but, it's still, he's still on the 25th anniversary of Raw. It still had... They bring some people back. Hulk Hogan didn't come back after just saying, when they think that you're not useful enough to stick around for the trouble you cause, if you're not worth the amount of trouble, They're going to cut ties with you. And I'm not sure if Enzo's worth, if it comes out that this was not true at all, they still might never bring him back.
Okay, you're tip of the iceberg now, because even if they do feel he is worth the trouble, they're the publicly traded company now in 2018 with the Me Too stuff. Like, it's not happening. It doesn't matter if he's worth the trouble or not. No one is safe from an accusation like this. Nobody.
His goose is more than likely cooked. I mean, unless it's like the Duke lacrosse thing, where it comes out where, I mean, she even admits that it was a made-up story for extortion or something like that. Unless that happens, he is cooked.
Well, I mean, let's be real too. He could be looking at jail time.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the detail, and she went and got, like, you know, the physical evidence, so to speak, is my understanding of the story.
Well, if it comes out that he did it, I have no problem never seeing him again. Who would want to? I've already hidden my son's certified G hat. Like, I don't want that in my house. I don't want that on his head. Even if this kind of thing is true, I won't abide. I just always want to say, like, we got to slow down, because you don't.
You're right. You're
innocent until proven guilty. People forget that these days.
I'm just also using the term with the allegations, you know, so I'm not indicting him yet. You're right. Also wanted to throw this one out there too, again, and, you know, the real focus here is the awful thing that is he's being accused of and the victim and everything like that. But if Enzo goes away, do we even have a cruiserweight division anymore? Is it just gone?
Oh man, I think they'll bounce the title around a little bit, so he's not the last one to have it. I think 205 Live is already on life support. Like, isn't that still one of the worst viewed shows on the network?
Yeah, I mean, it's not doing well.
I mean, they're at the point now they're putting the mixed match challenge on Facebook up against 205 Live, and nobody cares.
You make a good point. They do have a show competing against it, and I see more mixed match promos than I do 205 promos.
Way more. The only reason I think 205 Live was talked about at all was because of Enzo. So you have a very good point.
So I'm just saying, if you take it's on life support with Enzo, if you take away, what's it safe to call him? 80% of the show?
Yeah.
I don't know how the division will survive. I don't know how the show will survive. But again, that's just small potatoes compared to what this is an ugly accusation. Again, if you don't know it, just Google it. You can find it somewhere else.
Here's my question for you, Rob. This event happened a year ago. These accusations have been bubbling a little bit.
Oh, was it October of 2016?
Yeah, I believe it was a year. They said something of it being a year ago. It happened over a year ago.
Okay, that I didn't realize that part. Okay.
So, do you think that that's the catalyst for a lot of the heat that he's gotten backstage? And no one's really, you know, they're saying he's just obnoxious and I don't like him. But I mean, everybody went from seeming to be on this guy to hating him. Do you think it's stuff like this?
I don't think that many people in the back were aware of this, if anybody.
Yeah.
So I think that people just genuinely don't like the guy for the surface reasons.
Well, it's not going to help him here.
Thank you for handling that with some tact. I appreciate that. Is there anything you want to throw in before we wrap things up? And I have a feeling there'll be more details that come out in the next 24 hours. So we can probably even talk about this tomorrow too with SmackDown, who has big shoes to fill tonight.
Yeah, especially since a lot of the SmackDown stars were there last night.
All right, man. Thank you for your help today. It's nice to be here on our new home at GBF. I can tell from the viewers that at least several of you made the trip over. We appreciate that. This is our new home. So we will, by the way, we want to talk about this on social media too. Whether you want to talk about Raw or you want to talk about Zoe, we want to talk about it. Please leave us your comments on the Facebook. You know how you do. You know.
I may make jokes on Facebook.
Have at it.
Yes.
We'll talk to you tomorrow after SmackDown here on 103GBFRocks.com.
You were like, do you have anything you'd like to say? I was like, yeah, about